We'll try that again. Welcome back to Networking with Nathaniel. This is episode 19. I have the pleasure of being here with a like OG kind of sub two student, Myles. Thanks for being here, man. Myles is a father, a husband, a father of four, vast array of ages here from 2 months old to 14 years old. Um, Myles is an active real estate investor and entrepreneur just at heart. I know very little about you at this point. I'm looking forward to talking with you. How you doing this morning, man? You've had a busy morning already.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, man. I mean, it's a part of life. Obviously, I'm doing my best to be as present as possible and also as available as I can to add value to as many people. So when you really are trying to be intentional with your family, I could wake up, I wake up around 4:35 a.m. and I have like my morning routine and I could easily just get to work, like I hit the gym, like I went to the gym this morning and I could just be out and gone, right? But I don't. I come back home, cook breakfast, or at least I'm available for breakfast and we eat together with the family. And then I take my daughter to school, which is really important, right? Like I wanted to be the dad that's like involved in these activities. So that was a part of my morning today, right? Like waking up early. There's some stuff with the chickens. We just bought like 20 chickens. So I had to doing a bunch of stuff there. And then ran to the gym for like 25-ish, 30 minutes, but came back. My wife had already made breakfast. So I was able to sit down, but I have trees being cut down. We have these massive trees on my property.
Okay.
So I had to meet with my contractors there to just make sure they knew exactly like we weren't just leaving the stumps, like we're going all the way to the deck, whatever. Just then I ate breakfast and then I had to take my daughter to school. And then anyway, it was all kinds of crazy stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I know we've been struggling to get on and I feel so bad and I apologize, but it's just you're young, but you're trying to be available and do a lot of things, and it's trying to manage all that as best you can and not look like I don't excuse my language. I don't know how rated a
You can
douchebag to
say
people.
whatever you can. Yeah.
I don't want to be a douchebag. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
this guy's not responding, and it's like there's just always something that's just like. So anyway,
I totally understand. Yeah. So, like, what is it that's kind of keeping you busy besides, the family and being present as a father and a husband? Like, what is it that keeps you busy on a day-to-day basis right now?
yeah. So I mean, obviously, real estate wise, there's a lot going on. I'm definitely the type of guy that's like, if I have an idea, um, regardless of whether it becomes this massive success, I have this thing that I always tell people is like, well, personal development, number one, is huge. John C. Maxwell, Darren Hardy, Les Brown, T.R. Becker. I mean, I can go down the list. Jim Rohn. I studied personal development for many, many years. When I was in college, all the way up to where I'm now, because I got into network marketing. So that was a big part of my life. So anyway, the reason I say that is because Jim Rohn would always say, well, I mean, a number of people would always say is whatever you do becomes a habit, right? So whatever you do becomes a habit. So anyway, um, how you think in terms of when you come up with an idea and whether you execute on that idea or not actually becomes a habit. So if you're someone who has this really great idea, but then you don't execute, you might think that's kind of a very trivial thing. Like, it's a great idea, but whatever. You're actually wiring your brain to have really good ideas and not execute. And that becomes a habit. So anyway, long story short, now there's, caveat to this. You need to have balance and really work on that side of it. Obviously, that's what I'm working on. But I want to create and continue to build the habit of having, really good ideas or just something that's really like aligned with what makes me excited and, just being a visionary and really getting excited about something, but actually turning that into fruition. There's one thing to have a great idea and then never do anything, right? So, what's kind of keeping me busy, all that to say is there's, a number of different things going on, right? So in real estate, I started in January of 2020 just wholesaling, right? So I don't just wholesale now, right? So I wholesale. So there's a whole gamut of things going on with that, right? Like the people that you're working with wholesaling to make that operation happen. But even moving past wholesaling, I actually buy and hold. So even like today, there's two properties right now that I'm trying to stabilize as rental properties. I bought a property in off of Country Club Road in Spartanburg, South Carolina. It's got 2 units. There's like a garage conversion kind of style that we built out to be a 1 bed, 1 bath Airbnb. And then there is a 3 bed, 1.5 bath in the main house. I was originally going to do Airbnb for the in-law suite kind of, studio style thing. And then, long-term rental for the other unit. Although the tenant that's really excited and wants to move into the long-term rental, she went to go like see the house yesterday because right now it's like live, for showings and applications, stuff like that. And she's like, I want to do this now. I want to put in a deposit. And we actually still have a couple of things to, I kind of did like a little pre-soft, let people just go ahead and see it, because some people might want to just, hey, I don't care. Like I want to, which actually happened, right? She's like,
Yeah.
I want to move in, and that helps me because now I can finish up the, different little remodel things, but I already have someone who's ready to go on the 1st of January. And that was her. But the only thing that was kind of concerning for her was just the Airbnb. She's got an 8-year-old daughter, you get it, right? Kids,
Yeah.
and there's Airbnb next door. So she has an 8-year-old daughter, but she also has like 2 adult kids. One is like adult. He's like 24, I think 23, and he just got married. But I think they still kind of live with her. And then there's one that's, adult, kind of like what, 19, 20 years old. But she actually asked, she was like, what would you charge monthly for that other unit? And I'm like, interesting, right? Like, obviously, if I Airbnb it out, I can make way more.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna lie, dude. And I know everyone thinks Airbnb is always just amazing, no matter what. And I actually really think at this point, there's very specific types of properties that really do well in Airbnb. Back in the day, because I mean, my wife and I were doing Airbnb like 5, 6 years ago, honestly.
Okay.
So I know the difference. Like now, it's not just you put up any property and you're just getting bookings, because it was
Right.
that way
Yeah.
back in. We started when the Super Bowl came to Atlanta, and we had just put a random apartment we were in, and it booked out for over a month.
Wow.
So nowadays, like that house, I mean, dude, I could show you photos, I mean, it is gorgeous, right? But we're not getting that kind of traction as much anymore. And we all kind of know that, right? Like the economy, the market, but then also Airbnb is a little bit more saturated. There's just a lot of things going on. So I just said, you know what? There's a lot of projects and stuff going on. I might actually like the peace of mind of just having a long-term tenant there as well,
Yeah.
if I can charge more than I normally would because it's furnished. So this is kind of a new idea, not necessarily a new idea in general. Like people obviously have like furnished rentals that they'll rent out, but it wasn't really supposed to be a midterm rental, and it was supposed to be an Airbnb. And if it's a long term, you don't generally have it furnished. But because it's furnished, it's a little bit of a smaller unit. I can still charge higher even on a long-term rental because the idea of it looking just gorgeous, immaculate, and it's already furnished, and they can just move
Yeah.
in and just keep the furniture. Not, I mean, imagine a long, and it's not midterm rental like, professionals and two-month contract. We're talking long-term, like a year or more, but you get to charge that high price on a regular basis because of the convenience of like it's like turnkey. Like there's
Yeah.
furniture free. There's like, I mean, they literally could walk in and the whole house is just, I mean, it's like done. I mean,
Especially for like a 19, 20.
yeah, dude. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like so. Anyway, as a long-term rental, because it's like a 1 bed, 1 bath, and I, kind of set it up as like a little studio where I put like these wood slats and created a second little bed space or whatever. So it's technically like 2 beds in there. But anyway, it's a cute little spot. It could probably rent long-term. I'd probably say just because it's like a small little 1 bed, 1 bath. Just think of like a little garage conversion kind of thing. Maybe for like 850 or so. 800 to 850, maybe on the
Okay.
900 range, but I'm actually renting it out for $1,400. Like
Wow.
I said, I'd be willing to do $1,400. And she's really talking to her sons, and this is all happening like right now, and
Yeah.
considering that to move forward. She's already like, I'm already good to go on the main house. We got to work out and see if they're good to go to do that. And all I did was look at my overall expenses and then subtract what the main house monthly rent was, which was $1,600, and whatever was left, I just added a couple $100, and then that's when so I'll be able to, not only cover the mortgage and a little bit more, but also a little bit cash flow as well.
Yeah.
On both of those. But it'd be great because now they have an invested interest. It's the family who like rents the whole unit, the whole
Yep.
house out.
Yep.
And I don't have to worry about, just the management of the Airbnb. Like it can work out, whatever, right? And then I have this house in Manning. That's a whole nother conversation we can get into if we want to get into it. But it's actually been like the best deal I've ever bought in my life. I bought it subject to, but a
Okay.
crazy situation where a boyfriend bought the house. He's on the mortgage. He put the girlfriend on. They never got married. He died recently.
Oh man.
She owns the house now completely, but she's not on the mortgage. So she hasn't paid the mortgage for over a year, but the bank's not foreclosing because of the nature of the default. So there's kind of a loan, but not a loan. So they're working with me to basically pay the payments like interest. Dude, it's a whole crazy thing. Anyway,
Yeah.
so that's a whole other conversation. But anyway, to answer your question about what's keeping busy, it's just a lot of stuff like that, right?
Everything.
Like
Yeah.
wholesale. I mean, all of that, what I just explained, is not even the wholesale deals, right? And you know how that is, right? Like the
Yeah.
contracts and the attorneys and just you're making sure all that good. So there's that. And then there's the, buy and hold stuff that I'm doing. And then there's the flipping. Like I just told you, before I got to the office, I have one of my projects right now down the road, 35 6th Street here in downtown Greenville. That's fully gut remodeled, whatever, just flip projects I'm working on. And then I have this sort of like community that I'm building that's like it's a free Facebook group. It's just called the Real Estate Learning Community. Anybody can join it. And I mean, there's no sales pitches, there's literally nothing other than when I got started in real estate, I just did not see such an authentic or genuine like you help me, I help you kind of community, like let's just all win together kind of thing, like locally where I was. And I'm just a big like people person, as you get to, I love to, connect with people, etc. So anyway, I started this Facebook group, I don't know, 9 months ago, 8, 9 months ago. I had like, 150 people, 200 people, 300, 500, 700, now it's like over 1,000.
Oh,
And it's literally just people that are like, I mean, crushing it in real estate, doing tons of deals a month, whether it's wholesaling or flipping. It's developers, it's realtors, it's people who have no idea about real estate and they're like just curious and they're interested and they want, it's just, how can we all win together? I mean, if you go on my Facebook, right, if you go in that group literally right now, you'll see even one of the traditions that I just started, which I'm super stoked about. It's been my second one that I've done is I spent money on this huge fat like check, these big like, mega win check thingies. So like
yeah,
anytime somebody like does a deal, like their first wholesale deal or a flip or just whatever, whoever's willing to share, or unless it's a deal that I even bought from someone, I basically write this big check and take a photo of it and just congratulate them. And everyone's like commenting like, hey, congrats. It's like
that's
just celebrating people winning. It's just fun.
yeah.
And that's just, so anyway, there's all that. And then maybe a few other little tiny things here and there with people that I'm trying to help with stuff like, getting started in wholesaling, friends, connecting, raising private capital, just different things. But yeah, so all
Well,
that to say
yeah,
there's what's going
yeah,
on.
yeah. So you're managing projects, you're managing rentals, you're managing figuring out, the logistics of stuff. How are you not how are you acquiring, but how are you finding said deals? I believe I know the answer, but let's
Yeah, yeah.
make sure I'm
No,
certain on it.
no, you're totally fine. And I think it's okay to say this. It's totally fine. Like at some point, Pace Morby, since we're, talking about sub two and stuff like that, Pace was like generating leads, right? Like he had cold callers, he's generating leads, like he would door knock, drive for dollars, do all the things we all have to do to get started, right? He never just like got started where he is today. Obviously,
Right.
that doesn't mean right. But there's no secret that the majority of, if not maybe all of his deals now today, are just through connections and relationship.
Yeah.
You built such a community and you're serving and you're helping so many people. They're just bringing you opportunity. It's like, why spend thousands of dollars trying to create leads when you have people that see you add value to them and they just bring you opportunities and your cost per lead is like zero, right? So I always tell people there's two ways you can build like real estate, period. Like you either generate leads, you're a lead generating machine, or you're a lead magnet. There's literally only I mean, whether it's an opinion or not, like I just feel like that's literally all. What else is there?
Yeah.
You're either cold calling, driving for dollars, bandit sign, it doesn't matter. Anything you can think of is either generating a lead, whether it's Facebook ad, it doesn't matter, or you're just simply a lead magnet and the deal comes to you. Now, the power is really truly being both, right? So I do have both in terms of the lead generating machine, it's cold calling and texting still for now.
Yeah.
Um, but I would say like 99% of all the stuff that I've been doing, I would say for the past 6 months to a year, 6, 7 months, 8 months, has really just been focusing on helping people get deals done. And because of that, they bring me more opportunities to either evaluate to help them, but then it ends up being like, dude, I honestly want to just buy that. Can
Yeah,
I
I'll
just
buy
buy
it.
that? We
Yeah.
work, yeah, we work it out and they love it. Like, oh my gosh, all right, I already have a buyer. This is great. And they move on to the next thing. Or just people that just know my buy box and they're just like, hey, dude, like, are you interested in this? And it just cuts down the cost and the management of like running a wholesale operation where you have cold callers and you're sending out, messages and driving for dollar team and, you have a budget for, basically marketing, sending out mail or whatever it is. It's essentially zero because it's just all these deals are coming. And you have this pool from all different types of things, right? And it's mutually beneficial, right? Because they know that you're able to help them on the deal or even buy it from them. So it cuts out all that side, that's, finding a buyer and that side of it. But then it helps you that you don't have to, you're not necessarily on the phones like all day and, like you're not having to qualify leads, basically essentially like what a cold caller would do.
Yeah.
You're able to just have conversations with people that have at least already raised their hand, like, hey, I'm interested in selling. And it's just now getting to the finish line of like, how are we going to do this? So you're adding value to them because they can learn the process, but then you're able to buy deals and sometimes even still buy them with a little bit of control. Because the challenge with wholesaling for a lot of investors is like, you don't have control over that purchase price most
Right.
of the time. You can
Yeah.
negotiate, but generally it's like, hey, this is my assignment fee, and look at the deal, etc. But because I'm actually adding value and helping people, they're willing to work with me. Like, honestly, dude, I'm down to just even take $2,500 or $5,000 because I mean I'm learning so much, and we're getting this deal done, and we'll do more, etc. So
Yeah. They just know like, hey, it's a guaranteed 2,500 bucks, or you can go out
yeah.
there and try to fish for a bigger
Right.
assignment fee and maybe not succeed. But yeah.
Right.
It sounds like you have you have one VA who's calling and texting.
So no, that's the funny thing.
Oh,
So I had four total. Then I
okay.
closed up to like two, but that was like even maybe 6, 7 months ago. But literally for the past, yeah, like 6, 7 months, I actually do not have a cold caller myself. I
Okay.
have one or two individuals that they're just great at. They get on the phones, they cold call, they're great, but they're just not as great with navigating that conversation to that final point of like, we're getting this under contract with these terms and
Okay.
this kind of way. So they would rather spend the time doing what they do best and what they like, and then just have me do that part. So they literally, it's almost like I have a cold caller, but it's, obviously it's not official. Like I'm hiring them as a cold call because we essentially just split the profit 50-50,
Okay.
because that's the value that we add. Like they're on
Yeah.
the phones, they're bringing me opportunities on a regular basis. And this is even aside from just other people that are just these individuals have like committed, like, hey, I'm just going to bring you everything that I have. So it's like having a cold caller, but they just see the value of like, I'd rather, again, 50% of a watermelon is better than 100% of the grape type of
Yep.
thing, right? We always say. So they'd rather just, instead of making 10 grand on that assignment, I'll make five, but I don't have to worry about any of the dispo and any of the backside. Either he'll dispo it or he'll either buy it, and I can just keep doing my calling and just bring opportunities. So it obviously they actually make more money doing it that way than trying
Yeah.
to complete the whole transaction. So
That's awesome. My the toddler here is running around with his oven mitts on. He's got the
that's awesome.
go help mom do.
No, I love that you've been doing podcasting and you have your toddlers. How many kids do you have actually?
This is two. So we have the 3 year
Two.
old and
Nice.
the 1 year old. The one
Oh
year
yeah.
old's asleep right now, so
Nice.
we
It's
do
funny.
nap swapping.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The nap time with multiple kids is
Yeah.
is it can be interesting. I saw this thing on Instagram that was like, if you have one child, you have one child, right? If you have two children, it feels like four. And then if you
Yeah.
have three children, it feels like 9,378 plus a tornado and something else that they said. I can't remember what it was, but it was
Yeah.
hilarious. That is absolutely.
You know better than I do for sure
Oh
once it gets
yeah.
over two.
Yeah, it's weird. That third like kid, when it gets to four, it's really nice because there's enough of a gap where the fourth can really help. Rather than just being another child that you really have to
Yeah.
take. Unless you just, I mean, like back to back to back, literally have like four kids, 4 to 5 years old, So
Yeah, no thank you.
but there's a little bit of space. Yeah, if there's a little bit of spacing, yeah, that fourth one will definitely help out. But yeah, three children can be a little crazy. I don't know why. It's just an interesting. You have like a little bit of an older toddler that's going through a bunch, and then you have that middle one that's like middle child dealing with like older toddler doing things. But then you have the attention that's on the newest one that's like super
Yeah.
new, and like it can kind of get crazy a little bit.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah.
can't imagine having a second toddler, in
Yeah.
that area right. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh
just
yeah.
the one that's learning how to walk, he's getting into things now, and then the toddler
Oh,
wants attention because he's seeing all his attention go to the 1 year old now. You're just like, oh my gosh.
oh
Um,
yeah.
so you've got a lot going on, Miles. How it sounds like your number one lead generation source, the kind of connecting and just bringing value, is just you dumping time into, right? You're not spending money marketing, you're spending your time bringing
Yeah.
value to other people, which is in turn marketing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just found that was my superpower. Is not everyone, is for that or wants to do that.
Yeah.
But that's really what I love to do is just pour into people, help people, and I was doing that regardless. When I was spending money too, so I just kind of realized, like, wait a minute, why spend money and do this? Why not just like double down on this and just go even more into this? Because then I'll
Yeah.
get more return of just people that want to work together, which will help everyone. So
I love it. And how do you go about finding these people that you're connecting with that ultimately end up bringing you deals and for your
yeah.
exchange for your value?
Yeah, so no, it's a great question, and it's actually a lot more simple than it might seem. Really, just putting myself out there, right? Like social media. Obviously, there's the the small cases of like just running into somebody and us having a conversation, and maybe they're involved in real estate, and then maybe then we want to work together, whatever. But majority of it is like me creating the opportunity to be seen, right? It's kind of like how Pace, again, I just keep bringing it just because it's a great example because
Yeah.
it's like one of the best examples in the world, right? Of how he just keeps getting opportunities, right? It's not because he's like going to meetups every weekend or like going to business networking event. Like it's not like Basis like signing up for networking events like
Right.
every other Tuesday or whatever to try to, not that there's anything wrong, there's obviously a lot of benefit in doing that. Obviously anyone who's trying to do that or get into that, like keep doing that. You find all types of great connections. But I'm just saying he does so much that exposes himself. It's almost hard not to come across that individual, right? I mean, the amount of people that probably just go like, "Oh, I just watched this YouTube video and then this guy came up," or like, "I was on Facebook scrolling and then I saw this Facebook group." So I find a lot of people that want to work together by me putting out there that I'm helping people. Number one, so like, you know, I have a podcast myself, a YouTube channel myself, but I also in that Facebook group um, I will record videos of me walking through deals and underwriting and comping and things like that and post it there so people can see,
Okay.
just real life, underwriting and things like that and looking at deals. But again, that exposes like my desire and heart because I'm not asking for anything in return. There's no like, transaction. It's just, hey, this is what I'm doing. So then people will kind of like in the background. Because for whatever reason, some people are just afraid to publicly be like, hey, so they'll have to like send you a DM or like message you, hey man, I've been watching you for years, or
Ah,
hey
yeah.
man, I've been looking at what you've been doing for, a long time now. And I'm, would love to know, they just kind of come out of nowhere. They finally just for whatever reason, I guess, feel the confidence to reach out. So anyway, that's kind of most of it's just social media, just being available, putting yourself out there, documenting your journey. I always tell people document your journey. There's so much power in just people knowing what you're doing. And it doesn't need to be pretty and HDTV. It could just be as simple as like you're just learning and growing. And on that, you have no idea what can come when someone knows that you're building a business or growing in this, because you'll find a lot of people are curious and interested in getting into real estate themselves. And
Yeah.
when they see you kind of doing that, it kind of sparks like, oh wow, and they reach out. Maybe not now, maybe in 5 months, maybe a year, but ultimately the more you do it, the more opportunities those you know things come into fruition with people reaching out and connecting and becoming something that elevates your business. So
Yeah, it's something that I struggle with for sure is the documenting the journey part. And Marlon Johnson from Sub 2, I'm sure
oh
you're
yeah.
aware of Marlon.
Yeah, oh yeah,
He
yeah,
he
exactly. See,
says
right, another example. It's like, how can you not know this guy,
yeah,
right?
just be like let your audience become day one fans or something along the lines. It's like, just because you haven't done a deal yet or you're not doing 10 deals or whatever doesn't mean you shouldn't be posting something because you're not allowing people the opportunity to get to know you from where you started and to see where you're going to. Even if you're, like haven't done a deal yet, post about what you're doing to try to get that first deal. Or you're doing 10 deals a month, like post about what you're doing because people are going to see that you went from doing 10 deals to doing 20 deals a month. Like
Yeah,
see that,
yeah.
transformation and growth and stuff.
No, absolutely. And I think too, and I haven't really done this as much until recently, is like I've tried to stop because I just realized like, look, people are just going to be people. And like a lot of people just care about what people think about them. And it's just always going to be a fight of like, don't worry about what people say, like just go out there and die. But people just are like, it's just unfortunately, like, unless you have the mindset where you just don't care, and then you're just going to go do it. So what I tell people, now is like, just look at it as it's for yourself. You're not doing this for other people. Because when you stop thinking like, oh, I'm documenting, so that people can see this or that like it's going to be great for this. And it's all like the focus is like on what others are thinking or respond. But like, look at it as like you want to be able to see your journey. And unless you document it somewhere, it's going to be hard to remember that. Like, I have photos and videos of my first checks, like deals that I was doing. Like, I could go through my Instagram and just see the progression, or my Facebook and see the progression. So I just tell people, just take the time to try to document and just put it in these platforms, whether it's on Instagram in your feed, on Facebook, and let it be like a diary so you can go back, because if you never took that a lot of times the reason why some of these guys have become really successful, they're not the only guys that have these kind of success stories, but it's a great story they get to tell because they were focused on documenting their journey. So when they get their first check, they took a photo of the check and posted somewhere. They have that photo, Whereas maybe the person who like didn't really care and they just like deposited the check and moved on, like they don't have anything to show for that. Like they, they never took a photo with it. They don't have, and not that it like necessarily matters so much, but it's like you don't get to create that documented like memory of what was going on in social media, looking at it as more of like a diary rather than just like, hey, I'm trying to do execute X, Y, and Z, for other people. It might help, whatever, it might help that individual to start
Well,
doing that. Just look at it as like
yeah,
a diary.
I like that like mental shift too, because when if you're doing it for yourself and you're treating it as a diary, so you can see your own progress, when you don't get new subscribers or new followers or something a few weeks in or a few months in or whatever, it's not going to stop you from pushing forward because you're doing it for yourself, not for the followers or subscribers. That's
Right.
something that I've noticed for, man, I've been doing this for 4 months now and I still only have, 93 subscribers or whatever the number is. Like maybe I
Oh
should
yeah.
just stop. I'm not seeing the goal, I'm not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel.
Well,
But
yeah, well,
just a little.
it's because we've shifted from what social media really was. Like we've learned that social media can be a tool because of what we've seen over the years of people that have been able to generate revenue and have become a success on it. So now social media just seems like a tool to everyone. It's just a tool. Use it as a tool. And it is a tool. But remember when Instagram first came out, do you remember when you had these ugly filters? You would
Oh
take
no,
photos of
yeah.
the person with the cat and the Starbucks cup, and you weren't looking at it as like I'm trying to like build a brand, on these like I mean, it was just like you were documenting. So oh my gosh, if you go to
Yeah.
like I mean, I probably don't have them now today. I've maybe deleted them, but my first 5 photos on Instagram ever created. Oh my gosh, there's no brand. It was like, I mean, horrible. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's like, but that's what it was. It was just true to like what you were doing. And now, of course, with a caveat, don't just post whatever on Instagram. Like it doesn't make sense to like, post a photo of like spaghetti and be like,
Right.
just eating whatever. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you want to be intentional about what you're posting, but just for who. Instead of being intentional about posting it for X, Y, and Z person, you're being intentional about posting your journey, your dot. Like I want to see that check. Oh my gosh, let me, instead of just getting it wired, let me get a check for the first one and take a photo because I want to be able to go back and look at that. This flip that I'm doing. Oh my gosh, I bought my first flip. Let me stand in front of it. My arms up, thumbs up, whatever. Like just bought my first flip. Let me post that. Like that's still going to have the same effect of people seeing your journey growing, but you're doing it because you're like trying to see your progression. So still be intentional, but like who you're being intentional for yourself.
Yeah.
So
I love this, man. Well, I know that we both have like kind of a softish cutoff here in a couple minutes. So, uh, you've
I love
mentioned
it, man.
you've mentioned social medias a handful of times. What's the best place for somebody to follow you? Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I know you have them all, and I'll link to these in the description here as you explain them.
Yeah, so I put a pause on my podcast, but it was going
Okay.
amazing. It was great. And I'm gonna start back in 2024, like a new season. There's
Okay.
a lot of once I kind of just put a pause on it, but it's actually kind of a natural great progression to where 2024 starts and it's like season 2, of the podcast. So I'm gonna start that back again. But there's plenty of really good, oh my gosh, I don't even know how many episodes. It's called The Amputee Investor.
Okay.
And there's so much. I mean, I have like seller calls that were recorded. I have calls that recorded where I'm breaking them down, where like you literally can hear the seller call and then I pause and then I talk about, I mean, just very helpful stuff. It's free, it's a podcast, like really great
Yeah.
stuff on there. Um, YouTube, that's when I was kind of starting YouTube. Dude, YouTube is like, that's such a commitment. I applaud anyone who's just been able to get it done and like
Yeah.
hire out whoever they need to and have it set up and just drop videos because it's a whole thing. So I have some YouTube videos, but it's more so like earlier on in my career, not really much of anything currently today. But so it's more of like if you want to hear a little bit of my story here and there and just different things. But mainly Instagram is where I'm very up to date and I mean, I'm posting, yesterday, the day before, today, tomorrow. I post regularly on Instagram. That's the most up to date, and Facebook is the most up to date as well. But
Okay.
in my Facebook group that's in there, the real estate learning community, free public Facebook group. There's no pitch, there's no course in there, there's no selling. It's literally just a free group. Network, connect, just do your thing.
Yeah.
So
If I've learned anything here about Miles, it's that give, 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 and then potentially things will come along, but that's not why
there
you're
you
giving.
go. No,
Uh,
man,
it
it's
was a
fun.
pleasure, man. I appreciate you being here. I know that schedules are tough to connect sometimes, but you took the time out to be here and hang out with me, and I appreciate that, man.
No, I appreciate you having me, brother.
Yeah.
Seriously. Peace. Thank you.